Okay. Are we on? I think we're on.
Hey guys,
Oh boy, my cats are being annoying. Stupid cats. Okay, yeah, so Sonic the Movie 2 is out. In Europe anyway, so far. It's in the UK, it's in the Netherlands, so a couple of us already saw it, but of course we can't really talk about it in depth.
I agree
So we'll have
completely.
to avoid spoilers for those poor sad people not quite in the know quite yet. But we know all the secrets of this movie. We are truly knowledgeable about every single small detail of this amazing movie, and we can't wait to discuss it or something. In fact, I might spoil a little detail already right now. You see, hey, what's it?
Well, thank you, Roger, for having us on for this very special My Little Pony themed episode of Dissected Alive. Hello, I am the voice. I am Sal Commander, the voice of Captain Theory, and with me, as always, is Meltingman.
Hello. Yep, so right now, Roger and Luke are a little, tied up at the moment.
Yes. So we decided we would start talking about our favorite My Little Pony episodes.
Yee.
And I think we will both start by talking about Slice of Life.
Oh yeah, slice of life, yeah.
Whenever Sonic Team claims that they are writing a love letter to the fans, they are not, because nobody has ever done it better than My Little Pony.
Oh
Slice
yeah.
of Life is the ultimate love letter to fans. Just every single inside joke from the fandom is squeezed in, and it's so beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's great, and especially since the main focus in this episode is not on the main six, but mostly on some of the more popular background ponies that the fans enjoy seeing.
Yeah, among them are obviously the best one, Derpy Hooves, who
Derpy.
is still going nameless for legal reasons. And as the fans have decided, her best friend is Dr. Hooves,
Yeah.
aka the Doctor from Doctor Who,
Yeah.
in
AKA
pony form.
AKA Time Turner to some people.
Time Turner, yes. Because he kind of looks like David Tennant a little bit, and his cutie mark is an hourglass. So people are like, "Oh, he's the Doctor," and it's funny because there are 3 other ponies in season 1 with the same cutie mark who also look like other Doctors. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I know Minuet's one of them. I forgot what the other one was.
no, there was one that looks like the 11th Doctor, one that looks like I think the 4th. I don't know much about Doctor
Oh,
Who,
yeah.
but I've seen the picture comparing them all side by side.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Doctor is in this episode, and he's wacky and loves science and stuff, and he even talks about time travel for a second.
Oh yeah.
But he needs to get his suit tailored for the wedding because there's a wedding going on.
Yeah, the whole
And
premise of the episode is that Cranky and Matilda are getting married, but due to a little accident with getting dates situated by Derpy, the scheduling is now moved to today, so now they're frantically trying to get everything ready.
exactly. So so the Doctor needs to get his suit tailored, and the only tailor available at the time is the dude from The Big Lebowski, and I am not making that up. There
Yeah.
was a cameo in a way earlier episode of 4 ponies who look like the cast of The Big Lebowski, and so they show up again in this episode, basically as themselves, just as the Big Lebowski characters, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's one of the charms of the show. It's like, yeah, we get to see bona fide versions of characters, and usually they're not afraid to go outside of the family friendly orientated. Because we got Big Lebowski and we got all this other stuff going on.
And just like the picture we have on screen right now is just incredible to look at. It's got so much into it. It's got Barry Punch riding a keg full of alcohol.
Yeah, of course.
Got DJ Pone 3 on her bass cannon. It's not a bass cannon, but like
Yeah, we still call it bass cannon.
Octavia with her cello. The jelly pony for some reason.
Oh yeah, that was a surprise to see like that very very cameo-ish character from the Hearts and Hooves Day episode.
God, just so and there's like the side plot of Lyra and Bonbon, who are quote unquote best friends.
Yeah.
And turns out that Bonbon is actually a secret agent whose real name is Sweetie Drops, to reference the fact that a lot of toys came out with names different from what the fandom had decided they were, and so a lot of fans had to come up with like compromises, like, oh, we called her Lyra, but they called her Heartstrings, so her name is Lyra Heartstrings. But that was hard to do with Sweetie Drops and Bonbon, and so they figured out a way around that, and they made it so that she goes by Bonbon, but her real name is Sweetie Drops.
Yeah, that was interesting with how they cleared up the whole name confusion with that character. And, speaking of Bonbon, I always kind of wondered, like, why was she so popular in the fandom? Because I know, like, oh yeah, Derpy with the googly eyes. Oh, Lyra, she set up upright in that one scene with... But Bonbon, I'm not quite sure why she became popular. All I could think of was, like, in a lot of the earlier episodes, whenever she had a speaking role, she always had a different voice for some reason.
I did love that. I wish that was referenced at all in this episode, because she did have a different voice every time until this episode, and I think from here on she's always voiced by Andrea Libman.
Ah, yeah.
But I think the real reason that Bonbon is popular, and as sad as this is because she was always next to Lyra.
Ah.
which the animators have confirmed the reason is, like, their colors just go well together, so... Like, they would subconsciously put them next to each other in shots.
Yeah.
And so when Lyra became popular, obviously Bonbon popularity rose with her.
Yeah.
But I do like those characters. They're wonderful. I love that they were confirmed to have been married in the future. So...
Oh yeah, we saw like sneak peeks in the backgrounds, like in the much later seasons, where they proposed for their wedding ring, and then we got a brief glimpse of them now happily married in a newspaper.
Yeah, there was also, so back to Slice of Life. There's also references to other fan things, like Lyra sits upright in a chair again.
Yeah.
Derpy is of course a male pony, which the fans cited.
Yeah, that was another thing that kind of caught me off guard. It's like, oh yeah, Derpy does the mail. It's like, and then after I seen it, it's like, yeah, that does provide a lot of like funny situations with.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
Things going to the wrong address.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we get a nice fan nod to is the fact that Octavia and DJ Pone 3 live in the same house, because the fans usually describe like how they're like they live in the same apartment, causing each other a lot of stress.
Yeah, and like their house is amazing because it's like half techno, half classical.
Oh
like,
yeah, I love that
right
house.
Up down the middle. It's cool that they're roommates. Because, like, that was a weird thing that the fans decided. But, like, it works.
It's just one of those interesting clashing things. Like, you got, like, edgy, DJ music, and then you have something more soft, calm, classical music.
And, speaking of DJ Pone 3, an interesting bit of not really fan service, but at the same time fan service, is that DJ Pone 3 remains completely mute throughout the entire series. And it's because, like, Jesse Nowak, who was the voice of DJ Pone 3 in a lot of fan projects, is so popular as DJ Pone 3 that Hasbro knows they can't replace him.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people tend to be upset with how DJ Pone 3 is mute in the official main series. Like, yeah, I can see that. I do love the voice in the fan works, but in some ways, I kind of find it interesting how she's just a basic mute DJ in the main series. Kind of makes me wonder, how does she go about her daily life, getting into concerts and everything.
Oh, I don't know if she's like canonically mute or if we've just never heard her. I mean, there's obviously a lot of times in this episode where like she should have talked and she like
Yeah.
didn't, but
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Yeah, I know there's a few rare instances in the official MOP comics by IDW where she actually did
Yeah,
talk.
yeah.
That was pretty rare.
Yeah, because they didn't have to worry about getting a voice actress
Yeah.
to replace Jessie.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this episode is so fantastic.
Yeah, just like
There's also the weird moment with Gummy at the end.
Oh yeah,
where,
that's
where Gummy is having this weird existential crisis.
yeah.
And it's like
what
the
is a
only
cutie
time he's And what of the young crocodile? Flank forever blank.
Yeah. And then the other thing that kind of really surprised me was how they brought back Steve Magnet, the sea serpent from season 1. It's like I hear the
Magnet,
name.
yeah.
Yeah, so I remember hearing the name like, wait, who's Steve Magnet? And then he shows up like, oh, it's the serpent guy from season 1.
Do you know how he got his name?
I'm sure he's based off of some real life character.
Nope.
I don't know.
No, because like when the series first started is when like YouTube auto captions were at their worst.
Oh
and
yeah.
So a meme in the My Little Pony community was just screenshots of awful captions, and one of them was the dragon, and I don't remember what he says in the shot, but the subtitles just say Stephen Magnet, and the fans are like, "That's his name," and so Hasbro's like, "All right, I guess that's his name."
Yeah.
So they actually brought back his voice actor, and they had him say, "I'm Stephen Magnet."
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, Stephen Magnet is fabulous.
Very. And he like full circles his character arc, which is weird for a character who has appeared twice.
Yeah.
Like when he first appears, Rarity cuts off her tail to help him fix his mustache, and so in this episode, he cuts off his mustache to help Cranky fix his wig.
Yeah, because it's revealed that he's had some past experience helping out with Cranky and whatnot.
Yeah. For some reason, Cranky Doodle Donkey and Stephen Magnet are friends. Like good enough friends that Cranky talks about him so that his fiance knows who he is.
Yeah, that's so weird. Like you'd think that would be like at least something explored in the comics or something else, but no, it's kind of just left to the imagination of the wacky adventures of Cranky and Steve Magnet.
Oh my god. This episode is so fantastic. We haven't even like mentioned that there's like all these like blink and you'll miss it cameos, like the Twilight Scepter.
Oh yeah, the
And-
Twilight Scepter and the photo with like this real life photo of just random guys wearing horse masks.
Yeah. Which were some of the producers, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, another fun thing is so like I mentioned earlier the Big Lebowski ponies. There's Dude, Walter, and Donnie. But when they show up at the wedding at the end of the episode, it's just the Dude and Walter, and they've got a coffee can, which is a reference to in the movie where Donnie dies and they carry his cremated remains in a coffee can.
Oh, that's a nice attention to detail there.
So over the course of this episode, I guess, after they're done bowling, Donnie dies.
He died in a bowling accident, yeah.
Dies and they get him cremated all before the wedding.
Yeah. Or maybe the bugbear set him on fire because that was still going on, yeah.
Yeah, the entire time the main six are fighting a bugbear, but the entire town's worried about the wedding.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is how you do a fan service episode.
Oh,
This
yes.
this is a true love letter to fans.
Yeah, especially since it focuses more on a different kind of like, there's usually episodes that focus on different members of the main six or minor characters, but yeah, it's not that often shows make an episode that focus more on like the background or lesser known characters kind of doing their own daily life behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Anyways,
fun.
I think we should move on to our second episode. So, what's another one of your favorites?
Let's see. Another one of my favorite episodes is, well, being that I'm a fan of Fluttershy, I had to pick one, so it was kind of tough because I like them all because Fluttershy is best pony. But the one I felt like picking out specifically is Hurricane Fluttershy. That one's kind of a classic from season 2.
All right. So that is the one where I don't remember why, but like the entire town is trying to create a tornado, right?
Yeah, like Ponyville has been selected to help create a tornado that's strong enough using Pegasus wing power to lift up a body of water up into Cloudsdale so that their machine can actually produce clouds.
Oh, right, yeah, because evaporation does not exist in the land of Equestria.
Yeah, it's so weird how like everything has to be done like manually in Equestria. Like they have to do like Pegasus have to manually handle the weather, and Earth ponies usually focus on farming food and stuff, and then unicorns just kind of do their own thing, but kind of focus more on doing magic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like they've even made a point in the show that like the Everfree Forest is terrifying, and one of the reasons is because the clouds move all on their own.
Yeah, the plants grow on their own. Ooh.
So yeah, it's weird how like Twilight freaking loves science, but like the science of her world is very minimal.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have to manually get water from the ground back up into the clouds,
Yeah.
and they do this via tornado.
Yeah, and then of course, Fluttershy being in this episode where Rainbow Dash tries to help her overcome her anxiety with how she wasn't much of a good flyer in her youth in flight school. But yeah, it is kind of interesting. This episode is kind of more like yeah, it's kind of just Fluttershy dealing with a lot of self-doubt with, thinking that she's not a good flyer, even though, she can fly normally. It's just most of the time she prefers just to be on the ground. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. We do get the flashback of her being teased at flight school. And then, like, in more current day, like, we don't really see that. We don't really see, like, many ponies kind of, like, making fun of her, like, oh, she's a weak flyer. But, yeah, it's mostly just her self-confidence and anxiety that really, holds her back, which I can definitely relate to. So I tend to be a little harsh on myself sometimes in real life and lots of other things, especially when the pandemic hit. But yeah, so we, of course, with me and Fluttershy is trying to help out. Of course, we get the training montage with her animal friends helping her out with trying to be more stronger and confident. And weirdly enough, like even when she tries to do it and overpass her minimal record, she still kind of beats herself over for not being something better with her flight speed. But then eventually she comes in and actually helps out in saving the day with because like throughout the whole course of the episode, there's like the Pegasus ponies are doing their training. There's one like, oh, Thunderlane, you better not be, making up this cold. So you hear this kind of this like coughing thing going off in the background. And near the end of the episode, it turns out, yeah, it's real. And now some of the Pegasus ponies have been sick. So instead of trying to like beat the world record that Philadelphia had, they're like, okay, forget the record. Let's just get that water up there. So that's when it's like, yeah, we need Fluttershy's help to do it. And she eventually does manage to overcome her fears. So it's just a nice little feel good ending there.
Yeah, this is a very, very sweet episode. Fluttershy-centric episodes are always pretty great because, like, it's nice to see her gaining confidence.
Oh, yes.
There's the complaint that, like, that's what her lesson is every time, but, like, that's pretty realistic.
Yeah, it's like, I remember she states it in a later episode. It's like, like, oh, some pony just can't learn, like, one thing and automatically be fine with it. Yeah.
Yeah. There was an entire other episode about these kinds of complaints people had about the show, but we're not talking about that one today.
Yeah.
But while we're on the subject of Hurricane Fluttershy, this was the first appearance of a certain fan favorite background character.
Oh yes, the exaggerately designed bulk biceps, or back then I think it was called Snowflake, in way back then.
Snowflake was the fan given nickname before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. He's just this absolutely enormous, jacked up pony with tiny wings, very small wings,
Yeah,
and he's still very good at flying. It's hilarious. And like for the longest time, all he ever said was "yeah."
Yeah, that was always his catchphrase.
They finally gave him actual speaking parts later on, and gave him a new voice that didn't do the "yeah" quite as well, but
Yeah.
whatever. He's a great character.
Yeah, so we got our exaggeratedly designed pony, and as well as a little bit of fan service, where Fluttershy tries to hide from like the meeting where the Pegasus are being gathered to learn about how to create the tornado to get the water up. And the way she tries to hide is that she disguises herself as a tree, which is obviously a reference to the whole "I'd like to be a tree" bitch from season 1.
Yeah, the Dog and Pony show.
Yeah. No, I think that was the Appaloosa episode. That was it.
Yeah, isn't that the? Wait, yeah, that's called Dog and Pony Show, I believe. Whatever.
No, Dog and Pony Show is the one with the diamond dogs with Rarity and such.
Oh, okay. All right, so yeah, so Hurricane Fluttershy, very great episode.
Oh yes, it's very good. Of course, again, it feels like
Right,
season
so
2
I
has
guess
like
we'll move on to the next episode, which
Yeah.
I have selected, and it's kind of cheating because it's a two-parter.
yes.
But the Return to Harmony, the season 2 premiere, where we get our first introduction to one of my favorite characters, Discord.
Yeah. Then again, season 2 has like a lot of great episodes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, season 2 was fantastic.
Yeah.
So Discord, I think, was probably the best villain in the series. Like, nothing against like a lot of the others. Like Tyrek is badass, and Nightmare Moon is like this complicated background.
Yeah.
But Discord is just so much fun to watch, and he's like, in this episode, really like shines through with that, because he like single-handedly takes down the entire main 6, no problem whatsoever.
Oh yes.
And like there's like this even like sense of like dread that like he's like corrupting them by making them abandon like their own elements of harmony. Like, he makes Applejack tell a lie. He like makes Rarity greedy, and like it seems like he's only getting them to like abandon their elements through manipulation until he gets to Fluttershy, who cannot abandon kindness so much that Discord just manually gets rid of her element of harmony, making you realize that this was all just a game to him.
Yeah, that is interesting, because like the way he corrupts them is basically showing like a more negative side of what they represent. So like, Pinkie Pie represents like laughter, and so there's this whole creepy like birthday scene, and there's like constant laughing. It's like, oh, they're laughing at you, not with you, ha ha ha, and that's what corrupted her into being not the cheerful pink pony.
Yeah, she turned into Pony Francis from Left 4 Dead. Just, I hate everything. I hate Chocolate Rain.
Yeah. Chocolate Rain. Oh yeah, I remember that was like a thing. It's like, oh yeah, mentions it, and then people make, oh, Chocolate Rain with Pinkie Pie doing the song.
Yeah, because Discord's chaotic nature involves cotton candy clouds that rain chocolate milk, which sounds awesome. And
oh yes.
Discord himself is so fun to watch. There's this moment where he like holds out his hand and a glass appears in his hand, under the chocolate milk rain. The glass fills from the top down. Then he drinks the glass itself, leaving the chocolate milk behind, throws the chocolate milk over his shoulder, and it explodes.
Oh yeah, I can imagine Discord is just a fun character to animate with just how nonsensical his powers are.
It's just an absolute joy to watch. And yes, as Adrian in the comments pointed out, he is just Q from Star Trek. Like, same actor, same powers, same personality. He's just Q, to the point that a lot of people think Discord is literally Q, just because Q could do this.
Yeah. Funny enough, there was like an issue from one of the MLP comics that focused on Discord and the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and there's this one bit where they end up in this Star Trek themed world, and of course Discord is dressed up as Q, and he's like, "Huh? Why does this feel familiar?"
It's kind of sad that Discord never showed up in the episode that had William Shatner.
Oh yeah, the one, yeah, the Perfect Pair episode.
Yeah, that was also a great episode, but we're not talking about that one.
Yeah, there's too many great episodes to talk about.
So yeah, Discord is definitely my favorite villain, and on top of that, one of my favorite tropes ever is a villain that turns into a hero, and Discord does that over the course of the series. Like, and not even just like overnight, like they tried to do it in his return episode. Because like he like technically becomes good at the end of the episode, but he still does a lot of evil things throughout the series. Yeah, including including in the the final season, he just gets all of the other villains together to like with his plan to take down Twilight. But like it was all revealed that like he was planning on betraying all of them. Whatever. He turns out to be a good guy in the end. I love villains that turn into good guys. I love Discord. Discord's awesome.
Yeah, Discord's definitely a great character. He definitely steals the show for being a villain, and then in season 3 he becomes reformed. It's like, yeah, it's kind of but then in season 4 it's kind of like, you don't quite sure if he really has reformed or not. He's kind of more of a gray character in season 4, and then eventually he's like, yeah, but I do really want to reform, and then just continues on just being mischievous in his plans, and especially with the later seasons, with gathering up the villains in season 9, it's more of just his way of his own twisted way of good intentions to just make sure that Twilight Sparkle is ready to take on, ruling all of Equestria while Celestia and Luna are retired, even if his plans don't tend to go through as he had hoped.
Yeah. So yeah, he does a lot of shady stuff throughout the series, but ultimately it is all for good intentions to like prepare Twilight for disasters. The likes of which he could cause.
Yeah.
And I bet while we're on the subject of Discord, and since we've already talked about Fluttershy, maybe we should mention their relationship for a bit, because that's pretty interesting. So after his reformation,
yeah, it is very interesting.
His reformation through Fluttershy, he ends up becoming very attached to her because she's his first actual friend, and so he's perhaps a little too attached to her, and but like, he's a reforming villain and he needs a positive role model.
Yeah.
So
and who better than Fluttershy? Yeah.
So whenever they're having trouble with him, Fluttershy can set him straight.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up living together, which is fantastic.
Yeah, whenever he occasionally shows up for team parties and other events. Of course, Discord does have his own his own house and his own Discordian dimension. Yeah.
When we could talk an entire another half hour about that specific episode, but I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, we better move on. So let's see. Okay, so the other episode I feel like wanting to talk about is I'm trying to remember. I think it's Whatever. It's the episode called A Royal Problem. So it's the episode where we get to focus a little more on Princess Celestia and Princess Luna, the rulers of Equestria. So this is around the time when the cutie map is introduced. So Starlight Glimmer is sent on a mission to Canterlot to solve some kind of friendship problem. And it turns out that Celestia and Luna aren't quite seeing eye to eye. They're kind of just hurting each other's feelings without knowing it with their different duties. Celestia ruling in the day and dealing with ponies, while Luna has to deal with governing the dream realm and make sure that ponies sleep well and not being attacked by nightmares. So this kind of tension builds up a bit, and then Starlight Glimmer is just like, all right, screw it, I'm just switching your cutie marks. So after their whole argument, they're like, okay, so Celestia will try and do Luna's job and vice versa, thinking that each other's job will be easier than their main job. Of course, it turns out it's not quite as simple as they thought. And which it does end in the dream world, where Celestia witnesses Starlight Glimmer's nightmare, that her actions will cause some kind of devastating effects, that Nightmare Moon will return, as well as introducing a what-if scenario of Celestia becoming evil, and that being Daybreaker. So eventually Celestia and Luna join forces to fight off the nightmare, and they come to an understanding of how difficult it is to deal with each other's jobs. So yeah, it's a nice episode that we finally get to see a little more screen time with the princesses. Luna gets a lot of screen time, but kind of a shame that Celestia usually gets sidelined for the most part. And this was one of the episodes that, they do flex her out a bit. She's not just the calm ruler and everything. She can have some fun moments, especially in season 7 and onwards, where they decide to cut loose a bit and start to have a little more fun with the character.
Yeah, it's great seeing because Celestia for most of the series was just this higher being that you barely got to know, and then this episode shows her more it's probably not the best word for it, but her more human side, where
yeah.
she's just a regular pony like anyone else. She has hobbies, and one of her hobbies is baking breakfast for her sister.
Oh, and yeah, that was just so wholesome. Yeah, it's I always kind of saw Celestia as this kind of mother figure. It's not just in the early seasons, but kind of mostly the voice, with how most of the time she has this very warm and comforting tone. So her making pancakes was just, oh, it's you'd think being ruler of Equestria, she would just hire one of her royal chefs to bake breakfast, but nope, she does it herself and does it for her sister as well.
And she puts a lot of care into it. She makes little smiley face pancakes.
Yeah.
But Luna is so exhausted at the end of the night from doing all of her dream realm duties that she just doesn't want to eat breakfast. She just wants to get something in her stomach and go to bed. So she'll peel a banana, eat the peel because she's so tired.
Yeah, that was great.
And then go to bed. And the second morning this happens, she just grabs a whole pineapple, just takes a bite out of it, and leaves. I feel so bad for both of them.
Yeah.
Celestia puts so much effort into this breakfast. But it is kind of this episode does kind of raise a question though, because it shows Celestia is not when she takes over Luna's job, she's not very good at the Dream Realm stuff. So it makes you wonder who was in charge of that for the 1,000 years that Luna was gone.
Yeah, that always kind of felt weird. It's when she's raising the moon, it's oh, that was easier than I thought. I'm you've raised the moon hundreds of moons ago after you banished your sister in the moon.
365,000 times you've done this. You should have gotten used to it.
Yeah.
But so I feel that is the biggest problem in this episode is the kind of retcon of Celestia has been doing Luna's job before.
Yeah.
So she should know all of these responsibilities. And also it brings up the fact that Luna gets exhausted doing it every night. How did Celestia do both of their jobs for 1,000 years?
Yeah. I could only imagine she kind of just didn't bother with the dream world.
Probably, yeah. So nobody had any dreams for 1,000 years. So entire ponies were born and died without ever having a dream. And then one day, Luna comes back, someone goes to sleep and they have a dream. They're what the fuck was that?
Yeah. The rediscovering of dreams. Yeah. Yeah.
So I love Celestia and Luna's relationship throughout the series because like that's something that like the fans kind of overlooked in a lot of aspects.
Oh yeah, they usually like
One
to. They usually love to Flanderize Celestia, being like this evil tyrant of Equestria, that kind of thing.
to the moon with you, but like
Yeah.
uh, there's like this the stigma between them that like Celestia did not want to send Luna to the moon,
Yeah.
and like, but she did, and like that was seen as a victory amongst her people. Everyone's like, "You banished the evil nightmare moon," and so they've celebrated it every year for 1,000 years. They made a big deal about her biggest failure as a sister.
Yeah.
And like they've adorned the walls of her castle with like murals of her defeating Nightmare Moon.
Oh
And
yeah.
like
Stained glass
so
windows.
many like there were so many bronies talking about like, wow, imagine how bad it was for Luna being banished to the moon for 1,000 years. Just imagine how hard it was for Celestia, who
Oh
had
yeah.
all of these like extra responsibilities now, and chief among them was pretending like this banishment was a good thing.
Yeah, she
So
was pretty much hiding back the tears for 1,000 moons. Yeah.
So, like, someone has pointed out that Celestia only cries twice throughout the entire series, and once is when she banishes Nightmare Moon, and once is when she's reunited with Luna.
Ah yeah. So yeah, speaking of that, I guess we might as well move to the section of like Nightmare Moon, which of course they tend to have fun bringing her back. But and then of course
Yeah.
the idea of Celestia being evil, that being the Daybreaker form. Yeah.
Yeah, which is definitely a very interesting what if scenario.
Oh yes. Yeah, and then Starlight Glimmer being responsible for the whole thing. That kind of makes me wonder, like, what are your personal thoughts on the character? Because I know the fan base is very divided on whether or not she was better as a villain or better off being reformed.
Eh, Nightmare Moon wasn't too great of a villain,
Yeah,
but it
I was
wasn't
talking
the
about
first.
Starlight Glimmer. Yeah.
Oh, Starlight Glimmer. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, she wasn't that great of a villain either, to be honest. She had a
Yeah.
very weird plan.
Oh yeah. Whatever introduction. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and I guess her. I forgot about when she returned as a villain, and like did
Yeah.
the time travel shenanigans,
Yeah.
which
Basically. Yeah, she was trying to like stop the sonic rain boom from happening, so that Twilight and her friends wouldn't never have connected. And that's like later explained, like, oh, it's because like cutie marks, they it drove my friend apart because he got his and I didn't, and he went off to magic school and I was left behind. So she was dealing with that sort of a feeling of abandonment for years.
but yeah, so Starlight Glimmer. Definitely, I liked her more as a heroic character. Not nearly as much as as Sunset Shimmer. Sunset Shimmer
Like,
is the true main seventh.
yeah, Sunset Shimmer is best human.
Yeah,
But
and one of
yeah,
the
I'm
best
fine with
ponies.
Yeah, I'm fine with Starlight Glimmer being more reformed. It's like, yeah, she has like magic powers and whatnot, but she definitely has flaws. She's not the most sociable character. She tends to overthink things, and of course, she's pretty much the queen of nervous laughs. Like, I think there's already a video out there that just shows like how many times she's done that kind of nervous laugh in the episodes.
So yeah, so this episode is fantastic. I'm glad you brought it up because I did like talking about it.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
But time for a more serious note as we move on to our last episode we're going to be talking about today. Tanks for the Memories.
Ah.
This is the most important episode in the series to me for a very specific reason. So this episode is all about Rainbow Dash has this pet turtle named Tank, and he's going to go into hibernation for the winter. And she doesn't want him to do that because she'll miss him. And like it's it's a way for this episode to deal with loss without actually killing off a character. Because, like, this entire thing is like a metaphor for Tank dying, even if he's just going to be going away for a few months. And Rainbow Dash actually goes through all of the stages of grief over the course of the episode. She denies that Tank even needs to hibernate. She angrily yells at anyone who tells her he needs to. She, when she realizes, like, he will hibernate if winter comes, she tries to take away winter by, like, just stopping the production of all the snow and just basically just trying to take away winter, even though winter is, like, an important part of nature.
Yeah.
And, like, when that doesn't work, she, like, becomes incredibly depressed. She just, like, locks herself in her room, just, like, curled up and crying. It's very tragic to see, and then finally she, like, comes to accept that this is the way things have to be. And she, like, she's sad, but she's able to move on as Tank goes in for hibernation.
And the episode pretty much demonstrates the 7 stages of grief, or whatever it was called. Yeah,
The 5 stages of grief.
5 stages.
Which is denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And the reason this episode is so important to me is because it came out a month after my own mother passed away.
Ooh.
So this couldn't have come out at a better time. This is exactly the episode I needed when it came out. It was so comforting to me to see, like, this character that I admire going through similar thing that I was going through at the time. And it helped me get through the stages, like, a little bit faster than I think I normally would have. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
So sorry to bring the mood down a bit.
No, it's fine, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I first saw this episode, I wasn't too much of a fan of it. I kind of felt like the story structure was kind of a bit clunky. It's like, oh, it feels like, oh, this is a setup of, like, a character who dies but doesn't really. And then, like, I think after I recently saw it again, it's like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah. I think about this episode every year, on the day of her passing, because it's just such a wonderful episode, and, like, it's important because a lot of people think, like, oh, this is a show for kids. There's nothing for adults in it. Like, even if, like, there's, like, some, like, jokes for the adults, like, it's still a kids show. There's nothing an adult can learn from this, but there is. I did not know how to deal with my emotions at the time that this episode came out, and then I watched it, and it was so beautiful that, like, this 23-year-old guy at the time, learned something from this My Little Pony show.
Yeah.
And that's just part of what makes this series so magical.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of episodes that go into more deeper morals and whatnot. Like, I remember in a season 9 episode, it was like, oh, Twilight trying to return this overdue library book and whatnot, and it's kind of a typical Twilighting episode, but the moral for it really makes up for it. It has a much more deeper moral than you think. Yeah. But yeah, the Thanks for the Memories, that was fun. Yeah, it's a nice episode showing, like, the Cloud Factory with how they do, and of course a couple of fun moments. Like, the big highlight for this episode is these 3 Pegasus ponies that are talking about, like, moving clouds, and it's a short scene, but it's pretty much a parody on the classic Who's on First skit from Abbott and Costello.
With the open skies and the clear skies.
Yeah, if you open skies and you clear skies, then what's all that? Open, clear skies!
Hey, where'd our fluffy clouds go? Fluffy clouds? He's right over there!
Yeah, and there's a Pegasus one, like, oh, that was so great. And then, of course, another bit of interesting fan service was when Twilight Sparkle makes a Game of Thrones reference. The whole, prepare yourself, every pony, winter is coming.
Yeah. Yeah, some definitely some lighter moments in this episode. They did at times try and portray Rainbow Dash's grief as comedic, but like whatever, because it is a cartoon. It is she is being a little over dramatic about her turtle going into hibernation.
Yeah. Although it does kind of raise an interesting question, like, well, she's had Tank for this long, and, hibernating during winter, then how is she just realizing it right now? Like, I can only imagine this must have been, like, an episode that takes place, like, very early in the timeline when she first had Tank.
I guess so, yeah. His first winter with her.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Tank's awesome.
Yeah, Tank is great. I love him. I'm glad that this episode was focused on them and their relationship.
Yeah.
This, and I'm so happy I got to talk about this. So thank you, Roger, for giving me this opportunity.
No problem. It was very nice to hear. Nice personal story of
Stop
you.
right there, criminal scum!
Oh, hello.
Oh shit! They got out of the closet. Run!
Oh no! Oh, here comes Captain Theory. How dare you do that to me?
Prepare your blood!
Look, I had nothing to do with it. He made me do it. Putting you guys in the closet.
Right. Yeah.
It was mind control, I tell you.
You excuses. All right, so that was for Melting Man's evil April Fool's plot to talk about My Little Ponies all of a sudden. But now let's go to the actual purpose of this video. No, nobody's left watching anymore, except for bronies, I suppose. We received a couple questions from people, so I guess we all get to answer them.
Excellent.
Isn't that wonderful? But yeah, so Luke, you just came back from Sonic the Movie 2. Any quick thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was very good, much better than the first one. I mean, there were some parts when it got interrupted by scenes with Tom and Maddie, which I thought were interrupting the story. But all the other bits were brilliant because it was just so amazing seeing these Sonic characters on the big screen. It could be seen as a proper live-action video game movie after years of so many terrible video game movies in the past.
Yeah, I mean, the first movie was more just a generic kids movie with Sonic in it.
It was a typical alien buddy movie, but this one feels like an actual
Sonic, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually liked the wedding scene. I mean, I thought I was going to hate it because it was going in an irritating direction, but yeah, let's not talk about it for spoilers. Anyway, let's go to the actual questions. So the first amazing question we got from Adrian, I'm not going to pronounce that last name, sorry.
Zendigui?
Sure, let's go with that. Do any of us like weed?
Oh.
I tell you, man, it's... Nah, I don't do weed, no.
I wouldn't mind if... I don't know what the weed laws are like in the UK, and because I don't want to get, like, busted by the police or anything, or, like, if it affects my body. I know a mate who was into weed, and, like, I don't know if he still does, but maybe I should, like... meet up with him, score a bit of dope.
All right, fair enough. I used drugs only once in my life. That's when my wife Sylvia bought a space cake in Amsterdam, but it had barely any effect.
Oh, here I thought it was meth.
No, it was space cake. I'm a fat, so I eat drugs as cake. But yeah, it had no effect on me, so I never really had any interest to go back to it. I mean, it's the same with alcohol. I wanted to get drunk once in my life. Because everyone keeps talking about dancing pink elephants, and me as a cartoonist, of course, would love to see that stuff. But yeah,
I mean, the way that, as someone who watches South Park, the way that Randy has his weed farm and like has all these like different specials to sell his integrity weed and that, it kind of looks very appealing.
Yeah, that's South Park for you. Yeah, so, Captain, you probably don't have much weed experience either?
Well, it just recently became legal in Montana, so I haven't actually gotten around to trying it yet. It sounds expensive, though, so I'll look for a good opportunity to try it, but, like, I don't actually know. It's like, it was just recently legalized, so... I don't know if it's safe to get yet, because I don't know when laws go into place. Because I don't know stuff about laws.
What's that noise?
Yeah.
That is my dog. I apologize.
Oh.
The squeaky dog.
Yeah, I was
Captain
saying
Dog.
that. If I ever go back to the Netherlands, I would definitely want to go check out those coffee shops that I've heard about.
All right, sure. Maybe Brum can take you. Or our buddies.
And then on to the red light district.
Of course, of course. But yeah, I guess we don't have super exciting stories about weed. They say it's very good for creative minds, but I never really liked any of the paintings people using drugs made, so haven't been.
Imagine making an animation whilst high.
There's an idea. Yeah, Sonic Movie Madness remastered while high.
On drugs.
Considering the madness
For
I
real
make.
on drugs.
Sorry, Captain.
For real on drugs this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a Sonic version of Breaking Bad, while with Sonic trying to be a meth cook.
Oh boy. Jeez.
Sonic, Tails, we got to cook.
That'd be crazy. Okay, next question from Crean Femic. How do you tween and flash the way you do? Oh, I guess it's more of a personal question for me. Maybe we'll do that later, I guess.
Yeah, because I have no experience with Flash, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just get into that later, sorry. Let's go for someone we can explain. Let's see. Our Stutska Empire. Roger, is there a point when you think something has too much energy to it and is too hyperactive? Or do you enjoy the shows that have almost gallons of energy pulled into them, like anti-sonic booms? I think... I like to think of action like a roller coaster, and I think a roller coaster, the slowly going up part, is very vital to it. So if it's just pure energy nonstop, it does get very tiresome. Depends on what it is. If it's like a 5-minute cartoon, you can get away with it, but for something longer... I mean, I remember when I watched the Lego movie, it was kind of exhausting for me because, especially at the start, there was so much information coming nonstop in your face. I mean, that one really felt like a kid's movie. Like, yeah, I guess if you're a kid, time goes slower so you can process more of it. But as an adult, I'm kind of like, whoa, I can barely follow this. Any of you guys, any thoughts on this?
Not sure, really. Depends, like, when someone, like, has too much energy, does it mean, like, do they become so energetic they become annoying?
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose it's like how best used is the energy, because if they become too annoying, like, but if it's used in a way that makes it funny, or like in a sort of a silly way, because there was this animation I used to use, I liked watching called Smiling Friends, which had a lot of demented animation and a lot of demented characterization, but I thought it was done in a very silly, random way that I thought it was quite funny.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely an art style. I mean,
Yeah.
when I get an actor who wants to be that type of like hyperactive actor, like I always have to tell them, like you have to know when to have that energy, but also when to not have that energy, because when a character's like constantly, it's very annoying and it isn't even funny. Like good hyperactive characters, they have these beats, like they can go from I'm just quiet, like the Joker, he isn't just laughing maniacally all the time. Like, he knows when to shut up and let Batman do a talk. Like, he knows to wait for the best dramatic or comedic point before he starts going nuts. So, the trick of hyperactive energy is also to know when not to have energy, when you just have to build something up.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I guess one thing I could think of, too much energy and whatnot, it's kind of similar to what Luke brought up. Like, well, one example I could think of is very fitting. It's Pinkie Pie from MLP Friendship is Magic. With she's like the hyperactive character of the bunch, and I know some people like tend to find her annoying and whatnot, but it kind of depends on how she's written. Because like knowing Pinkie Pie, she's like the only character that can like defy the laws like the physics almost as much as Discord, as well as break the fourth wall. But like her hyperactive mood just depends on how it's utilized. Like usually it's played up for laughs, and yeah, most of the time it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah,
fair enough. Absolutely. Let's go to the next question. Now, this one is specifically for Captain Theory. You want to read it, or can you? Is it already on screen? There's always an annoying slowdown. I guess I'll just read it. So, what is Captain Theory's relationship with Captain Obvious? And then he had this whole personal theory about it. I imagine if Captain Theory's shtick is that he's curious, open-minded, logical, and subjective in his thinking, then Captain Obvious is the antithesis. Oh, jeez, how do you pronounce that?
Antithesis.
Antithesis?
Antithesis, yeah, sure.
Antithesis.
These French word in English. Tongue breakers. Irrational, basic, never bothers with speculation or interpretation, and is essentially a meathead who takes everything at face value, something akin to a peacemaker, hence the name Obvious. Is this accurate in any way? Well, Captain, what do you have to say about that? Should be on screen now. Captain?
Who gave you this kind of idea? Captain Obvious is evil. I must go put a stop to him right now. Captain Theory, away!
And there he goes again.
Hi, so it's me again. It would actually kind of ruin the joke if Captain Theory himself answered this question. So it's me again. So the relationship between Captain Theory and Captain Obvious is that they're both superheroes, but their ideals are so completely opposite of each other that they both perceive each other to be the villain. So yeah, Captain Theory loves like speculation and like reading between the lines and all this stuff. Captain Obvious is just like straight facts. He only like is interested in what can be actually observed, what's going on in front of him. So yeah, they are constantly at odds, but they are both technically good guys. They just don't see each other that way because they are completely opposite. And like, so there was like going to be more to Captain Theory and Captain Obvious's fight when Captain Obvious first appeared in the Kingdom Hearts Dissected, where there was going to be this moment of Captain Obvious uses Kingdom Hearts to drain away Captain Theory's powers because it's hard to speculate about a game that's like barely got ground to stand on.
Yeah. All that convoluted stuff.
But yeah, I do like the relationship between Captain Theory and Captain Obvious, because it just amuses me that these two dumbasses are completely at odds with each other. They don't even realize that neither one is the villain.
Yeah, that's always a wonderful dynamic with superheroes. But yeah, it's just typical, like, you often see that when someone makes, like game theories or something, like you have a video that's kind of speculating, and some people are so strict on the original material, as if it's the Bible, like, you're not allowed to even look between the cracks, look between the... No speculation, there's only what like, brainlessly follow what's officially written on the screen, so I kind of like the idea of having a representative of that. But of course, you always have... risk the idea of making him a straw man, so I guess we do need to respect him as well. After all, when you do make theories, you can get away with it a little bit. In the end, just like with everything in life, it's all about balance.
Yeah. Oh, here comes Captain Theory again.
Oh, I couldn't find him. I'll get him next time.
He's probably writing another Sonic book again.
Sonic Encyclopedia Part 2.
No!
Well, hey, maybe this time he'll include Amy's American Page 1.
That's probably the only thing still left to include in Part 2. Alright, let's go to the next question. From Suax. What narrative or plot trope do you despise the most? Mine is bringing characters back to life. Star Wars is especially guilty of this. Luke, you haven't talked much, so let's go to you first.
Well, one narrative trope that I'm not a fan of is you get a mysteriously masked person, they take their mask off, and it turns out to be a woman the whole time. The reason I don't like this is not due to like discrimination or anything. It's because it's done so many times. It's pretty much predictable now. Like whenever I see a masked person, I go like, "Oh right, it's a woman, isn't it?" But there are some examples I think that's been done pretty well. One example I could think of is Batman Mask of the Phantasm, because I didn't realise that the Phantasm was a woman until near the end, because they disguised it so well. And another example is in the Samurai Jack episode, where these group of bounty hunters were discussing and conspiring with each other on how to take down Jack. And one of these bounty hunters is really scary-looking masked person who turned out to be a princess, because I didn't see that coming, to be honest.
Fair enough. It can be done well, just like with any cliche.
Yeah.
Melting Man, what's your disliked movie trope or story trope?
Let's see. I think the one that I hated for a while was the whole twist villain trope. Like, oh, this character's nice, and then turns out, oh no, it's the bad guy after all. And I didn't mind it at first. I liked it when they did it in Toy Story 2, especially with Pete's backstory of why he was doing it. But my hatred for it mostly came kind of like right after Frozen, because they had the whole twist villain. They're like, oh, this guy's nice. Oh no, he's the villain. And then after that, it just felt like every other Disney film and Pixar film after that definitely relied too heavily on the twist villain, and that just got really freaking annoying because it just felt like every time they did that, it was just the same reason. Like, oh, I didn't get that, I wasn't allowed to a bit. It's like, jeez. Like, there's a few times it works. Like when they did the twist villain in Coco, that was actually a really creative way with how they explained the guy's motivations. But yeah, most of the time in Nutcracker in the Four Realms or other Disney and Pixar films around that time, yeah, it just felt like they were just recycling the same thing over and over. And I was getting tired of that. I just wanted to see a villain be, a villain, enjoy being the bad guy and whatnot.
Even worse, they didn't even do it well in Frozen.
Sorry, can I interject? I think it was done well in the video game Xenoblade Chronicles, because there was a character that I really liked, and then when this character reveals himself to be a villain, he now becomes one of my favorite video game villains.
Yeah, I'm not quite familiar with Xenoblade Chronicles. My only knowledge of that is Smash
Basically, it's like a Cockney geezer with a sword, and they climb these giant titans. That's basically the overworld.
All cliches can always be done well, of course. Sala, Captain, sorry, what's your most hated trope?
I had one, but then Adrian in the comments brought up the misunderstanding trope, and I think that one is actually my least favorite. Any conflict that can be resolved by just talking should not be like a major driving point of the story. I hate seeing that.
The whole liar revealed kind of thing, yeah.
That was gonna be my most hated too, and every animation it happens.
Oh yeah, it's so overused.
However, I got a different one. Although I don't really hate it, I actually love it in a sarcastic kind of way. And that's, in movies, especially action stories, you have a lot of mooks, like a lot of just faceless bad guys you can kill and shoot a lot. Like, especially in video games and all that. But then they very often do this thing with the main villain, like the worst of all the guys. Like, a lot of the mooks might have even been innocent, might have just been security officers. Just people doing their job, and then you get to the absolute worst, the main villain, and then all of a sudden they do this trope where, no, I'm not gonna kill you because then I'm gonna be just as low as you. Like, where the hero suddenly, heroically doesn't murder the villain, and that makes him look good, even though he already murdered millions of other people that were even less evil than the main villain that he now suddenly sparing. It always makes me laugh.
Yeah, I think they played with that in the Deadpool movie, where Deadpool was about to kill the bad guy, but Colossus tries to stop him. So, all it takes is just 5 seconds, and just shoots him.
Exactly. Especially Deadpool 2 does a lot with that. When the one kid is not allowed to kill the guy. Only if he actually kills him, then he's going to turn to a villain or something. They didn't quite do this trope, but even there I was kind of half laughing at it because it was already kind of very weirdly specific. It's like, oh, he can blow up buildings and do things that might have easily killed millions of people, but only when he actually kills someone, then he becomes villain. Okay, that's really specific. But yeah, Deadpool 2 kind of skates by. But yeah, there's just other places I remember. Like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas kind of did that, and Star Wars did it, the original. Again, I don't hate the trope, it just makes me laugh. I just find it funny. When the absolute worst guy of all the villains gets spared because the hero is like, no, I'm too good to kill you, but then all the faceless mooks all die horribly and nobody cares. Especially wonderful when the story's all about the hero trying to prove himself innocent from murder. That's even funnier. Like the whole action story is about him proving that he's not a killer, and during the whole movie he's just killing bad guys all the time. I just love how nobody cares about mooks. Poor mooks, except for Austin Powers. I love
I
that.
think that's actually the plot of Dishonored as well, where you've been accused of murder, and so to clear your name, you murder a lot of people.
Yeah, I love the trope as much as I hate it. So, the actual trope I hate the most is in animations when all the main characters only hate each other right before the climax. So basically, what you just said. Was the misunderstanding, especially Pirates, a misfit of what was it called? That art.
I think it's called Adventures with Scientists.
Yeah, that one exactly.
Yeah, Pirates Band of Misfits. Yeah, it seemed
absolutely
like you had
loved that
some...
movie.
Well, it was different in different countries because over here it was called An Adventure with Scientists.
Ah.
Yeah, but America hates science, so they're more religious.
Even though it had him team up with a very young Charles Darwin.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
He's the villain, I guess. So, well, kinda. But yeah, I love that movie. But then when all of a sudden they all have to hate each other right before the climax, it's such a destruction of the whole movie. I was like, you're ruining all my fun.
Oh, yeah. Now I see. Because I remember you briefly mentioned it. It was one of the older Dissected episodes, but you kind of brought it up bitterly, oh, isn't that right? Pirate Bands of Misfits, that kind of thing. I can't remember what episode it was. I think it was one of the Lost World ones, but I don't know.
Probably. I mean, it's not that movie did it the worst, but I was enjoying that movie so much that it hurt so much. Sorry, did it?
Yeah, definitely. Another trope I just remembered because it's kind of relevant right now. If anyone's reading One Piece, I don't like it when a character that seemingly grew from nothing is suddenly the most significant person in the world. Naruto did it, where Naruto and Sasuke turned out to be the reincarnations of the son of the god of Shinobi. And
Yes, they've also done that with Rey Skywalker.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, yeah, that was one of the nice things about Last Jedi is that, Rey was just a nobody, but then they retconned that in Rise of Skywalker. But yeah, so One Piece is doing that right now, and, I think Oda is a fantastic writer, so I have complete faith that he will do this well, but I don't like that he's done it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, many people have seen that are considering it an ass pull.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay, let's go to the next question. From Green Comet 2011. Ooh, young. Curious to know what you think about the visual novels. That's the video games, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's kind of a video game thing where you look at cutscenes and that. But sometimes they talk, and sometimes there's a little bit of interactivity in it. It's basically like a visual comic, if you will.
Yeah, so like Phoenix Wright, but even
less.
Didn't
yes, and Danganronpa.
Yeah, didn't Sly Cooper also did that or something? I don't know much about Sly
comic
Cooper.
Cutscenes, but it was an actual action platformer. Man, mostly in regards to writing format and the way it presents the characters in the world inside of a story. Yeah, I think it works very well. I mean, interactivity in the story always helps, and I absolutely love Phoenix Wright games. I don't play visual novels too often, but I kind of like the concept, so I like it. It's better than the books. The visuals help.
Mm-hmm.
And it focuses on the narrative, so it doesn't have any other stuff getting in the way. Any of you guys have much experience with visual novels?
Not too much. I've never gone all the way through one just because the concept just isn't for me. There's a lot of games that are similar to visual novels that I enjoy, but usually it's because they have other forms of gameplay involved.
Oh, like Phoenix Wright, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Sakura Wars is also kind of like that, I think.
I guess Fire Emblem could be considered a visual novel to some extent.
Yeah, very often.
Yeah, between battles.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I like the concept. It works.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite kind of genre, but... Yeah, Melton?
Yeah, personally, I'm fine with it. I don't have too much to say. It's, just give me some nice eye candy and I'll be fine with it.
Considering how many of them are pornographic, those can be found.
Oh, there's loads of them in the Switch eShop.
Sorry, what was that like?
I was saying there's loads of them on the Switch eShop.
Pornographic ones?
I believe so.
Oh,
but pretty softcore-ish.
Softcore.
There's a Senran Kagura visual novel on the Switch called Reflections with an X.
It also works very well with horror stories, doesn't it? Like there was this one, my uncle who works with Nintendo or something. It was also.
I believe so.
Yeah, and those other meme games with all the YouTubers as their daddy or something, or that horror book club thing. Yeah, it's very popular with horror movies.
Oh,
now.
Doki Doki Literature Club, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So,
I remember like that was all over the web for a while. Yeah.
For a horror story, it works great because gameplay doesn't get in the way. You focus on the story, and yet it gives the interactivity, so the reader's actually involved in what's going on, so you feel responsible when things go bad. So I think, especially for horror stories, it's a very great.
And also, you got the Danganronpa games, which involves like murder mysteries and also very interesting a variety of characters.
And of course, detective stories. Absolutely. Yep. I would love a Sherlock Holmes game to play like this. I mean, they do. Yeah.
I came out of this question thinking a lot more games are visual novels than I did going in. Like before this, I didn't consider Phoenix Wright, Danganronpa, and Fire Emblem to be visual novels, but they are.
Or at least parts of them, yeah. Well, probably the more involved ones, but yeah, you got them in all sizes and shapes. Jeez, I'm struggling with my words today. Okay, next question. Oh boy, another name I can't pronounce. Arstutska Empire. What is your ultimate Pokemon team? Luke, what is your ultimate Pokemon team?
Ooh, Gordon Bennett. Okay. Pikachu. Arcanine. We need a water type there. Lugia. Mewtwo. How many slots I got left?
I think 2. Yeah.
2. Did I mention Arcanine?
You did, yes.
You can have 2 of them in your team.
No. God. I had another one.
You need more time to think? We can pass the question to the others.
I'm trying to think.
I'm sorry for dropping it like that on you, Luke.
Poor Luke.
Okay, I'll stick with those ones for the moment.
There you go. Fill the rest of the slots with Mudkip or something.
Yeah.
You like Mudkip. And that was an ancient meme, from back in the day.
Sorry.
I guess I'll be next. So, okay, I found the text that we typed them in. So, okay, so my ideal Pokemon team is Pablio, because I just find him so freaking adorable. Wooloo, pretty much the same reason. Dragonite, also the same reason. I know Dragonite would just make a nice snuggle buddy, just for rough days. Rest would just be Wigglytuff, Mr. Mime, because for some reason I was into Mr. Mime when I was a young kid, and Lapras, another water Pokemon.
There you go, Captain.
I'll add Lucario to my team.
Lucario, sure, that's a popular.
Nice.
Captain, your team.
Okay, so I admittedly took a huge break from Pokemon games from Gen 3 to 6, so there's a lot of Pokemon I don't know. But I did come back just in time for my favorite Pokemon of all time to be debuted in Gen 7, and that is Vivian, the butterfly Pokemon that looks different depending on where you live in the world.
That thing that Roger did one time, yeah.
Yeah. So, Vivian is my favorite Pokemon. It's adorable, and I love that it is Pokemon number 666. So, I don't really care what the other Pokemon are, as long as I can have a Vivian as, like, the Pikachu to my Ash. I would be a very happy trainer.
Yeah, I guess the Pikachu to me would most likely be Pablio.
So I suppose the other 5 Pokemon would be ones that could make up for Vivian's weaknesses. So, like, it's bug and flying, so it's very weak to rock, so I would need a strong water type. So I suppose for that I would choose maybe Feraligatr, because that's a... Oh no, maybe Lantern. Lantern is water and electric, so that could cover up 2 types. Let's see. Maybe a good fire type for against water. I don't know. I'm kind of growing on Cinderace thanks to Pokemon Unite, so maybe Cinderace.
There you go.
I still got 3 left. I'll throw in a Ditto in there just because Ditto is adorable.
All right.
And I guess Zapdos and Yveltal just to round things out.
All right. So my team is the most pathetic of them all. My ultimate Pokemon team in every single game I play is always the first 6 Pokemon I catch because I always feel too sorry for them to throw them away. I feel too much guilt. I'm kind of pathetic like that. Besides, they're so over-leveled. After all, I don't want to trade with others. It's like, no, I have weak Pokemon again.
So I imagine one of them is a Pidgey.
Yeah, I was the pathetic first Pokemon of the first game I found in the first areas. Yep.
That's a completely valid way to play Pokemon.
I just keep leveling him up until I can beat most of the enemies. I mean, I can never 100% beat the game, but I get pretty far anyway. So that's my sad, pathetic answer to that.
It's not a bad strategy by any means because normal types usually are the ones you find first. Normal types have very few weaknesses and can learn a lot of moves, so they have pretty good type advantages. Honestly, they're just not great if you come across a rock type, or I think a fighting type.
When I run across a Pokemon I don't have a good type for, my characters are so over-leveled and overpowered it doesn't really matter. Like, especially my starter Pokemon, the first one is always a fire one, and it doesn't matter what enemy I have. It's so overpowered, over-leveled, I just destroy everything. Until I get to the later parts of the game. Did you say something, Luke? Sorry?
No, I didn't say anything.
Fire Blast is always super effective if you try it enough times.
There you go. So, yeah, I guess that's that. Let's move to the next question. Oh, that's a coincidence. Shilikala, who just joined us in the chat. This is probably going to be a question only a few of us going to answer. In case you've already played through Yakuza Like a Dragon, which, yes, I did you do as the game suggestion in Chapter 12 and go to the Sotenbori Battle Arena before you go to Omi HQ, or did you end up not doing that before you hit the Omi HQ? And so many people are going to be confused right now. Any of you 3 played Yakuza Like a Dragon?
Nope.
I have no experience with Yakuza whatsoever. Nope.
There you go. So that's going to be my question only. So Yakuza Like a Dragon is basically an open world city game, but it kind of is a parody of classic RPGs. So it kind of acts like it's a Dragon Quest style game. There's a lot of like weird parody jokes. For example, you run across a professor of, I don't know exactly what it's called, Shimpoke or something, like a parody of Pokemon where he wants you to catch every single criminal in the city or something. Like wacky jokes like that. And of course, the Yakuza series have a weird sense of humor. Anyway, in the game, there's one city you very briefly visit. It barely shows up in the game. You spend less than a percentage of the game in that city. So it's only there for story reasons. It's recycled from one of the previous games. That's why they are so generous, I guess. But yeah, they quickly give you an optional battle arena you can go to, or otherwise you have to continue the story. I'm not quite sure why you asked me that, because I never really had any specific problems at the headquarters where I really needed that battle arena. Although I can tell you about an earlier, like, optional dungeon I get in the first city. Because in this game you have, like, I think 3 or 4 bonus dungeons where you can just level up before you continue the story. But all of them appear very late in the game. There's only one that appears very early. So I figured when I was halfway through the game I should try that optional dungeon, not to get too far behind. And we were immediately super stuck. Like, there was a boss we could barely defeat. It was a very random boss, a giant vacuum cleaner, like a Roomba. We had no idea why there's suddenly a vacuum cleaner as a boss. And we were stuck there for weeks. It was a very tough battle. We were very underleveled. And by the end, we finally managed to cheat our way through. And then I realized I had trouble because I didn't do the game in the correct order, because it was like a later optional mission where you do get introduced to the professor who created those vacuum cleaners. So only then did I understand the actual context of why there's giant vacuum cleaners attacking us. And those missions were super easy for us to beat because first my wife and we played a game together. We were that terrified when we saw that vacuum cleaner again. It's like, oh no, not again! Because we had so much trouble with the boss the first time, but the second time we run into it, we just beat it with no problem. And then I realized the game has been very easy for a long time, so I probably did the dungeon way too early, so I overleveled myself by accident. So then I actually regretted doing the optional dungeon first. So I'm not sure if I get to the Sotenbori battle arena, if I melee beat it. My wife says we did. I think we only did it halfway through. But yeah, we never had any trouble yet, so I didn't regret doing it or not doing it. I don't even remember if we finished it immediately. So, does that answer your question? I hope it did. Or is everyone just confused now?
Confused.
I tried to follow along.
Hey, I had to follow along in your My Little Pony talk, so now it's your turn to be confused, I guess.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh well, and my wife drew this wonderful little drawing of our hero, Ichiban.
Ah.
Her favorite new character. Can't wait for him to return in Like a Dragon 2. Not sure if that game's in development or not. Okay, those were the questions, except for the tween one, which I still have to go back to. I think I'll do it at the end of the video, because I don't want to let other people sit through it. So let's see if the chat gave us any interesting questions we can answer now. Let's take a quick look.
There's a couple of them, yeah.
Let's see. What if Captain Obvious is a lost Captain Theory twin? Sala, what do you think about that? Is he your twin? I guess that reveal so shocking, we knocked him out.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Sorry. I suppose that could be an interesting twist, but they would have to be fraternal twins because they look nothing alike. and I suppose that like could help the story reason because like fraternal twins are like portrayed as like more distant than identical twins.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I guess that could potentially work as a little plot twist.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Ani B, like how coincidence? He explained what their name was pronounced in the chat before. Asked us, "What's our favorite video game character?" Luke, what is your favorite video game character?
Well, being as my favorite game series of all time is The Legend of Zelda, my favorite video game character is Link. More specifically, adult Link from Ocarina of Time, because when I was a kid, I grew up with the stories of King Arthur, a young boy who pulled a sword from a stone and became a legendary ruler and warrior. And I just reading all these amazing, these fantastic stories of heroes, but traveling through magical realms and going through dark dungeons and rescuing fair maidens from monsters. And I also grew up with TV shows like Nightmare and the Chronicles of Narnia, because I see Link as the definitive fantasy fairy tale hero, because there have been heroes in fairy tales like say Bilbo Baggins or Aladdin, those sort of heroes, and it makes you feel like you are on this epic quest to battle monsters and save the day, that sort of thing.
All right, fair enough. Sounds good. Meltingman, what adorable, cute girl is your favorite video game character?
Cute, yes. Yeah, favorite video game character. Geez, it's kind of hard to decide. It's like with video games that I grew up with back then was mostly 3D platformers. So like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, and Banjo-Kazooie. I'm kind of leaning over to like Crash Bandicoot because that was the first game series I liked, and I just like the character. It's a very wacky character, and it definitely feels like he's one of those characters that just works as being a mute because of how very expressive Crash can be when done right. Like especially in the remaster trilogy and in Crash 4, with how it shows how much like facial like expressions he has and his emotions. Like, yeah, he can be like, you know, wacky and lazy, but he does have like heart. Like in the scene with Crash 4 when they meet like Altough and then she leaves and Coco's like, oh, they're sad. And then you see like Crash putting his hand on her shoulders, like, it's little details like that really make the characters stand out nice.
Not the trophy girls, Megumi. I'm shocked.
Oh yeah, Megumi's obviously the best Nitro Squad gal, of course. She's so sweet. But yeah, so other than that, I also like Banjo-Kazooie. It's an interesting character dynamic because like you have Banjo, who's kind of this, you know, he's a kind, friendly bear, maybe a little dim-witted, but you know, just a decent guy to hang out with. And then you have Kazooie, who's much more brash and a lot more ruder. So seeing these two personalities just clashing with each other is always just very entertaining. With in that game series that is sadly very short-lived with how limited amount of games they have.
They got about 5 of them or so.
Yeah, 5. So, yeah. Banjo-Kazooie, Tooie, Grunty's Revenge, Pilot, Nuts and Bolts, which I actually didn't mind. I thought that was a decent game. Like, sure, it's not Banjo 3E, but still, it's fun just to drive around and customize. And, of course, running over Grunty with your car in the main hub will never get old.
Fair enough. Captain, your favorite video game character?
Okay, so my favorite video game character is Sonic, but I feel like we talk enough about him, and I feel like that's too obvious of an answer. So I'm going to talk about another video game character I like, and that's Jacket from Hotline Miami.
I never heard of that one.
Oh, it's very interesting. It was a game that I actually hated when I first saw it because like it's very gruesome. It's a very violent game, and like some of the ways people die in that game is quite horrifying. So I paid like no attention to the game for a while. And then like years later, he got added to Payday 2 and I suddenly grew interested in him. And so I actually started looking into the lore of Hotline Miami, and Jacket is actually a very interesting character. So he's like this he's this war vet from he's like special forces, and he was in, I think, like a fictionalized version of the Cold War. So he's like got this intense hatred of Russians. and like he's clearly been through a lot of trauma, so he's kind of he's kind of emotionally broken by the events of the first game, to the point that like he has a lot of like hallucinations. He sees his dead best friend everywhere he goes, and like so he's easily manipulated by the actual villains of the series to do their biddings, which is to kill Russians, because they are just these people are just straight up nationalists. But he like goes along with it because he thinks he's helping.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so Jacket's actually a very interesting character. He goes through some like growth throughout the story, and like it's all taken away from him by like other bad guys. It's if anyone hasn't seen like the story of Hotline Miami, it's actually very interesting. It's confusing as hell because like it starts off, the time jumps backwards and forwards a lot. And there's a lot of things that like aren't explained explicitly, if at all. So there's a lot you have to like interpolate. But so like it's a very interesting trip down Jacket's psychosis of, because like most of the game is actually just flashbacks of things, when in reality most of the game he's actually in a coma. And like he breaks out of the hospital and like kills the person who killed his girlfriend, and like goes and gets revenge on people who betrayed him. Then he like takes down the entire Russian mafia by himself, and then just allows himself to get arrested for his crimes.
I wonder if they're gonna make an Ukraine sequel soon.
They did make a sequel, and he's barely in it because his story is over. The sequel is all about a bunch of copycats who admired him, and so they try and go out and do exactly what he did, and that causes a lot of problems. And the entire game ends when Miami is nuked.
Well, so no more sequels. Okay,
Yeah, no more sequels.
fair enough.
But but at least Jack gets in Payday 2, so I can pretend he's still alive.
There you go. So everyone picked a character who kind of fits their personality. Lucas, the big tough warrior. Meltingman is a wacky goofball. Sala is a mentally broken psychopath. So
We'll go with that. Yeah.
and my personal character is kind of dull, and I like it for them. I kind of like RPG heroes who are a little reserved and optimistic. I'm thinking of Vice from Skies Arcadia, but also Mega Man Legends, Mega Man Casket Trigger, Mega Man Trigger from Mega Man Legends also kind of fits.
Trigger
kind of the
or
way how I
Volnut.
write Sonic. Volnut, yeah, that's the name. There you go. How do you know it better than I do?
Because he was in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom.
There you go. But yeah, kind of
Which
RPG
also
heroes
had-
who are very reserved and optimistic. I kind of like that. I don't know why. It just appeals to me. That's how I write Sonic 2, even though that's not supposed to be his personality. Sorry, I interrupted you, Sala?
Oh, I was just the reason I know his name is Volnut is because Mega Man Volnut was in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, which was the first non-Beautiful Joe game to feature Beautiful Joe.
There you go. That's nice. You got a couple crossovers. Capcom cares very sometimes.
Sometimes.
Very
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, but then 2016, I think, yeah, they really did not care for poor Mega Man back then. All of those canceled projects.
Okay, we got a
sorry
lot
for
of
the-
questions about the prequel Sonic 2 movie. Or do you want to say something about your character first? Sorry.
So Adrian, sorry for the spoilers.
Ooh.
Ah, the prequel
Well, we
comic,
said we didn't do spoilers on Sonic the Movie 2. We didn't say about anything else. So
Yeah.
the Sonic 2 movie, speaking of that, the prequel comic, a lot of people ask our opinion about it. How many of you read this?
I've read it.
Yeah, I've read it.
I read the first couple pages and then got distracted and forgot to finish reading it.
I guess we'll save it for next stream.
Guess we'll do more in. Yeah, we have to wait anyway because I like to compare it how it relates to the movie, and I can't really do that for everything because it would be kind of spoilers. But,
Yeah.
I think I could say that. I think it's done pretty well and how it expands on some of the characters.
Yeah.
There's really only 3 characters I really was curious about what they were about, and the comic and movie still didn't really have any satisfying answers. But yeah, I can't really talk about that. Yeah, I like the comic, especially the Agent Stone part was great.
Yes.
Yeah, it was interesting him getting a spotlight. Although there is one story that did kind of prove a theory that I have involving a certain character, but we'll save it for next time.
Yeah, you pretty much called it, mate.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe the movie changed my mind. I don't know. It hasn't come out here in America yet.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, sorry, did I interrupt you, Luke? Did you want to say more?
No.
All right. I guess I was too quick on the trigger. Let's see. Different questions. What was your favorite short we made for the April Fool's video? Oh, I guess that's our question or my question. I don't know.
It could be.
I think it's your question, Roger.
All right. Well, what cartoon I made for April Fool's this year did you like the most, everyone?
Let's see. Which short did I like? I'm mostly trying to think. Yeah, mostly the Fried Monkey one. I don't know, I think my favorite was just the whole bit with Scorpion trying to grab this teapot that he won, and then he accidentally breaks it. Poor Scorpion.
Poor guy. Yep. It wasn't technically the request I got, but I thought it was funny. I think I liked the most the Crazy Tax one.
Yeah,
Yeah, Crazy Tax.
that was definitely my favorite too.
They actually
Hey,
only asked
come
for the
on
cover, but yeah, I thought the whole concept was great.
Crazy Tax.
Yep, they're pretty much what everyone goes through every year, especially with it coming up this year.
You drank too much
How
coffee
fitting.
anyway. And perfect time, yeah. Now it is tax season now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm losing sleep over it, but once that's over with, then at least I'll have the Sonic movie 2 to act as my Advil for this headache. Yeah.
There you go. Well, enough Me praising my stupid stuff. Let's go to the next question. What do we get more? If you had to rank the story of the movie against the game, and I guess they referring to the Sonic stuff, where would you place it? So where would we rank the story of the Sonic movie compared to the games? Well, of course, some of us haven't seen the second movie yet, so it's hard to say. So for Sala and Meltingman, just the first movie, and for me and Luke, the second movie, I guess. So Meltingman and Sala, you're where would you rank the movie story compared to the games?
Well, in my opinion, I think that the 2020 Sonic the Hedgehog film is.
Well, I think what we should be thinking of is like, how does it compare? Like, because it's an origin story, really.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't really be comparing it to like a single story, but as a starting point, it's pretty great. I'd put it like I'd put it above Sonic Forces, above Colors. I'd even put it above Sonic Unleashed. That's saying something coming from me.
That's impressive. Luke, so where would you put the story of Sonic 2, the movie, between the games?
Sonic 2? I would say somewhere in the Sonic Adventure area because of how it has humans in it and like how the Sonic Adventure games have humans and also has a good amount of action and adventure in it.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I would also rank it as a Sonic Adventure Light. I mean, it has a couple like Sonic Boom-isms, especially with Knuckles being a fish out of water, but it has the energy and sense of duty and sense of scale of the adventure games, definitely, and a lot of the energy. So it's almost like, imagine if Sonic Boom, but actually genuinely try to make a Sonic Adventure style game. That's kind of where you get. So that's very impressive. So I liked it. That's I guess where I would rank it, kind of like the lesser Sonic Adventure game, but still, like the only thing missing is the big epic music. I suppose. I mean, it does have nice music, but it doesn't have Live and Learn or anything like that. If only it had big songs like that, and then it would rank higher.
Yeah, I got nothing against rap music, but I felt like it do with some like. Maybe some Crush 40-like music.
Yeah, I don't know why they keep focusing on rap music. Although, to Sonic 2's credit, they have a couple songs that are in rap music. I especially like them using, I don't know if this is a spoiler or anything, but they use a very funky song somewhere, which I really enjoyed. But,
hey, I'm not
I'll
sure.
leave
I
it
know.
to that.
Yeah, I know in the first film, at least one I could talk about, is the whole the rap song they did for the end credits, the Speed Me Up, which I always did hate the title. It always kind of felt like a stupid way of trying to do a parody of the whole, oh, beat me up, Scotty. But yeah, I really wasn't a fan of that song. And that was just mostly because, well, it's mostly for two reasons. One is that out of all the different music genres, I like rap the least. It's definitely the one I really don't like. And the second reason is kind of self-explanatory with the visuals, you know, the whole, remember Green Hill Zone, and this was already around the time when I was at my boiling point with being fed up with Genesis pandering when I saw the first film in theaters.
Yeah, that's the problem. Oh well, there's a lot more adventure pandering in this new one. Anyway, yeah, I'm not a big fan of rap music. I can take it or leave it, but I associate it with slow music, so that's why I particularly think it's a weird fit with Sonic. Sonic needs to be fast and hyperactive, not slow and plodding. I mean, it works for Knuckles, I suppose. But
rap can be fast. Like, if you've ever heard, like, Rap God or Godzilla by Eminem, those are really fast songs.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and also I've got like, people banging on about Stormzy.
What, Stormzy?
Oh, I think he's a rap singer.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about any personal stuff about the singer, so... if he did something naughty, then I'm not aware of it.
So, Adrian in the comments asked if any of us had ever watched or read Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
No.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I remember seeing the trailers for the, like, there was a live-action one, and then they later made an animated one. But, no, I haven't seen either version. I haven't read the books. I think I might have had the first one somewhere that I got as a gift, but it's been collecting dust, so, sorry.
So I have an actually interesting story about Diary of a Wimpy Kid and my relationship with it. So I remember it before it was a book. It actually started out as a webcomic on a website called funbrain.org, I believe. And I seen like advertisements for it in some of their games. So I decided to check it out and I started reading it. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And so I read as much as I could at the time. And then I just forgot about it for years. And then suddenly there's books everywhere. There's movies coming out. I don't know when this happened or how, but it was so surreal that this little webcomic I read years ago is suddenly blowing up out of nowhere. and it's still relevant for some reason.
Yeah, that's so weird. This same I had kind of with RPG World. It was also like a weird fan comic I read a long time ago. And now all of a sudden the creator of that is the runner of a couple of shows like OKKO, and he was part of My Little Pony or no, Steven Universe, I think. Also a weird thought. Like it's just So there you go. What could have been just a quick webcomic you read, but just a nobody can suddenly become a big giant Hollywood legends next. It's not going to happen with me, but to other people it will. So there you go. Let's see. There's another question. Is Sonic, despite your focus on it, even in the top 3 of your favorite video game franchises? Luke.
Ooh.
Is Sonic in the top 3 of your favorite video game franchises?
I like Sonic. I'm sort of a middle of the road Sonic fan. I would probably say about 4 or 5 because I would say my top 3. I mean, number 1 is Legend of Zelda. I think 2 would be Castlevania. I think for me 3 would be Monkey Island.
Oh, Monkey Island, that's cool. I've been watching a lot of videos of that lately.
Was not expecting that.
Yeah, I mean, like ever since I played Tales of Monkey Island, they kind of left it open for a new series. But with Telltale Games going under, it doesn't seem like they ever come back.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It's kind of sad that my only experience with Monkey Island was the fact that one of the characters was featured in Poker Night at the Inventory. It's a game that's sadly no longer around, but it was basically just this typical poker game, like, oh, you're going up against random characters from random franchises in a game of Texas Hold'em. So, you know.
Poker Night at the Inventory. Poker Night at the Inventory games are pretty great because you get to see characters interacting with that you would have never expected.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Like in the first game, it's always fun hearing the banter between Strong, Bad, and Heavy from Team Fortress 2. Yeah,
I didn't think that Tycho from Penny Arcade would be in it.
Oh yeah, that was my introduction to Tycho there.
Same, and then the second game, like you have Ash from Evil Dead and Claptrap from Borderlands. Interacting with GLaDOS from Portal.
Along with interacting with Brock Sampson from Venture Brothers, yeah.
Yeah, and Sam and Max.
Yeah, really random. I wish they made a third one. Yeah, but
right?
Monkey Island. I wish they continued the art style of the third game. I love the art style of the third game, but none of the other games ever went with that. Mm-hmm. Sorry, suddenly went back again. But, Meltingman, your favorite 3 game IPs, and if Sonic is included or not.
If Sonic, and I think I already brought up that the games I mostly grew up with, Crash, Spyro, Banjo-Kazooie. Sonic I kind of got into a lot later, and I guess the way with me and Sonic, I think it just mostly depends on which version of Sonic, because, you know, there's the games, the comics, and everything, so, I think the games were kind of,
We're talking about games now, yeah. So.
Okay, just the games. So, I think they're kind of close, but not quite. They're kind of at number 4. Like, it's mostly from, like, you know, the 2000s era. That was what I mainly grew up in. So, like, oh, yeah, good old Sonic. And then the 2000s, and then the meta era happened. It's like, yeah, he's probably... I don't know, I probably moved him down to 6 or 7 or something. I don't know, I'll have to update my favorite video game stuff list.
Fair enough. Sala, your top 3 video game IPs, and if Sonic is included or not?
Sonic is definitely included, yeah. Sonic is, without question, my favorite franchise of anything ever. So, yes, it's number 1. Number 2 and 3 is kind of weird, though, because... I'm not sure if I should include something with no more than 4 games as a franchise.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so number 2 would have to be Beautiful Joe. I freaking love the Beautiful Joe games, especially like 1 and 2. The other 2 games, there's kind of a DS game with weird, awkward controls, but it's all right. And then there's a Smash Bros. Wannabe game called Red Hot Rumble, which I appreciate as a game, but it's not really fantastic. I think it's fun, but it's nothing to write home about. But Beautiful Joe 1 and 2 are amazing games, and I freaking hate that we don't have Beautiful Joe 3 when Beautiful Joe 2 ended on a cliffhanger.
Those damn cliffhangers. Yeah.
The Platinum Games, which is made by the former members of Clover Studios, a while back announced a game called Project GG A Go-Go, which is a reference to Beautiful Joe's catchphrase Henshin A Go-Go, but we don't know anything about that game. So I'm hoping it will be a spiritual successor to Beautiful Joe, like Wonderful 101 was, but Wonderful 101 is a little different than Beautiful Joe. So
yeah, very weird game. Then again, Beautiful Joe is weird too. So.
Oh yeah, I actually didn't like Beautiful Joe at first because like I'd only seen like the box and I literally judged it by its cover, and then the anime came out. And I watched an episode of the anime and was instantly hooked.
That happens sometimes, yeah.
So Beautiful Joe, definitely my second favorite video game franchise. As for my third, again, I don't know if I could count something with only 2 games in it, because that would be like Killing Floor or Hotline Miami. And of the two of those, I'd choose Killing Floor. An interesting coincidence about Killing Floor, by the way. So it started off as a mod of Unreal. Okay, none of that matters. Okay, so the main character of Killing Floor is a guy named Lieutenant Masterson, but he's not the mascot of the game anymore because for some reason these DLC characters from the first game, who play no differently from any of the other characters, became incredibly popular to the point that they are now the mascots of the game, and they are Mr. Foster and DJ Scully. And what I find interesting about this is DJ Foster is English, or Mr. Foster is English, and DJ Scully is Dutch.
Oh my god, Dutch from the Netherlands.
Yeah,
That's why
so
it's so popular.
it's
We're awesome.
I do want to talk about something Monkey Island related. I don't know if you will know that Monkey Island, in a way, inspired the very first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, because the Pirates of the Caribbean ride inspired Monkey Island, and they were going to make an animated Monkey Island movie. However, it got scrapped. But plot ideas ended up being in the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which is why there were some characters and elements that were very similar, like how Will's a bit like Guybrush, Elizabeth was a bit like Elaine, and also how Barbossa is like LeChuck. So in a way, they've influenced each other. So you got like Pirates of the ride influencing the games, and the games becoming the inspiration for the Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
That is so weird to think about. But
Yeah, it's weird. All comes
Guybrush
full
as
circle.
Will? Well, Guybrush isn't that straight. He's more. I guess he's kind of straight. Man, that's a weird thought. Although I
Yeah.
can't imagine a Jack Sparrow showing up on Monkey Island because he doesn't have an equivalent.
I kind of compared him to Captain Dread from Monkey Island 2, who drives a little boat
Yeah,
between
I
the
guess
island.
So. For Monkey Island.
since you're on that subject, Luke, did you know about the Pirates of the Caribbean crossover with the game Sea of Thieves recently?
I sort of know
yeah,
about
I
it.
remember that. Yeah.
So in the first level of that, if you go through this really convoluted plan, you can actually go to a sunken ship with journals from a character from Monkey Island.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they talk about Guybrush Threepwood, and like Monkey Island music plays. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a sequel
Oh,
to
that's
Monkey
pretty
Island 2, I think. Because there was a lady you framed for a crime. So apparently she's the one who ended up in
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves. Kate something? Kate.
I think that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, so yay, new Monkey Island stuff, I guess. even its only cameo, and kind of mean spirited at that because he's dead.
Was that about Guybrush being straight?
I mean, not that way, but I mean that he isn't such a boring like stick in the mud like Will was. Like he's more of a goofball. Well, he's not really goofy. But
Will was a bit goofy in the first movie. Like he accidentally broke a candlestick or something.
Yeah, a little clumsy. I guess we're a bit too harsh on Will. I mean, if Jack Sparrow is the character you're playing up against, you're gonna be the straight man very easily. Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen Guybrush interact with a character like Jack Sparrow.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually would have a ship crew that's actually useful for once.
Yes.
As opposed to the video games where they're always useless.
Yeah, either they just sit around a deck chair or just burst into song.
Oh, in the third game, yeah. A pirate's life was meant to be.
Trim the sails and roll the seas.
That song's gonna be stuck in your head.
I'm still waiting for Ailstorm to do a cover.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, because they previously did a cover of Pirate Scorn from the Donkey Kong cartoon.
Oh, of course. Anyway, yeah, I guess I'm the last one to answer the question. Yeah, Sonic would be in my top 3. I mean, of course, there's highs and lows, but the highs definitely get him up there. My other favorite franchise would be Yakuza, and yeah, what would the third be? Kingdom Hearts, I think. So there you go. Wow, that was a long answer to that question. Oh, we got another new question I see from Rhino Bank. Okay, really silly question to those who watched the second movie. Which trailer before the movie was your favorite one? Well,
I guess we could.
What is your favorite trailer of Sonic the Movie 2?
I was wondering if that's referring to Sonic Movie 2 or the trailers that you would get before the movie. I mean, like...
Oh, before the movie. Oh.
I wasn't sure what it was actually referring to, but I'm guessing it's... it could be both. I mean...
Yeah, do both. Why not?
Yeah, for the second movie, probably the first Sonic Movie 2 trailer that came out in December, mainly because it had a very small epic theme based on Emerald Hill Zone.
I had the teaser trailer, yeah.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, as for the trailers that came out before I don't know. Not many appeal to me. I mean, when I was watching it in 4DX with my mates, and the trailer for the new Top Gun movie was showing. We were sitting in these chairs that move. So every time the plane comes on, the chairs would move. So we just flung all over the place. So if you were like eating popcorn or drinking something, it was like in that Mr. Bean movie when he was altering that ride and all over the place.
Popcorn flying all over the place.
Yes.
Nice.
People flying all over.
Oh, that's awkward. That's not a good advertisement for Top Gun then, Maverick.
No, especially for 4DX.
Whoops. Yeah, as for me, I barely saw any of the Sonic 2 trailers. I was deliberately avoiding them for spoilers because they showed too much. So I guess just the first trailer would win because it's the only one I saw. As for trailers I saw before the movie, I can barely even remember which ones. The only one I remember is the new Dumbledore movie, so I guess that one wins by default.
Oh, yeah, so you got a Dumbledore. That's basically Harry Potter fan fiction now.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I haven't seen Sonic 2 yet, but I did just go to the movies a couple of days ago to see Morbius.
Fair enough. What's your favorite trailer?
So first off, I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, but there's the trailer for the movie called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, where Nicolas Cage plays Nicolas Cage. and I'm already hooked on that. I can't wait to see it because that sounds absolutely absurd, and I love it. The trailers look amazing.
I never heard of that, but it sounds great. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looks very funny. So like he like becomes friends with like some terrorist or something, I don't know. And so the CIA like asks him to be a double agent for them. And so we've got Nicolas Cage being a spy as himself, with some guy who is a huge fan of his. It's hilarious just from the trailers already. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the poster right now on screen. So there's Nicolas Cage. The guy next to it, is that Mel Gibson or is that someone else?
Pedro Pascal, I think.
And Pedro Pascal's in it.
Pedro Pascal.
Never heard of him.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
He was in
behind on the times. Yeah.
he was a meme recently when he was in Wonder Woman 1984. He was the "Life is good, but it can be better" guy, and he also plays the Mandalorian on The Mandalorian.
Well, that explains it because I haven't seen any of those.
Yeah.
And he was the guy who got his head crushed in Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah. I haven't seen Game of Thrones, but I did know he was in there. So.
And yeah, I guess it's my turn. So yeah, but movie hasn't come out here in America, and it's been it really has been over 2 years since I've been to a movie theater. Since the first Sonic movie was the last time I went to a theater before the freaking pandemic happened. But in terms of trailers for Sonic Movie 2, I guess my favorite would have to be like the proper one we eventually got, like not the teaser one, but like the other one where we got to see a little more screen time with Tails. We get our introduction to Movie Knuckles. And of course, I was surprised, they're still keeping Agent Stone being a thing. I was kind of going off of Captain Theory's idea, he's just a figment of Robotnik's imagination. But it's okay, maybe they'll try and do something with him this time.
Oh yeah. So I assume that theory has been fully debunked by the sequel.
You can still make a case of it, but there are people who interact with him. I'm not going to say much.
Okay.
You'll find out.
I will find out. Yes. Just less than a week to go.
He interacts with Wade once, that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, I think we went through all the questions, except for the one with tweens, which I'm not quite sure.
Oh yeah, the tween thing, whatever that is.
Yeah, I have to explain technically how I animate or what my creative decisions are when animating, I guess. But, I'll try that. But so yeah, if you don't want to stick around for that, feel free to leave, I guess, and it's the official end of the video.
All right.
I barely know what I'm going to say.
It was nice hanging out with you guys today. It's good to be myself a bit more than usual. So, see you guys in a couple weeks.
Sure.
Right.
See you in 2 weeks, and we can finally actually talk about the Sonic the Movie too, without being cryptic about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
Bye-bye. Yeah, tweening. Let me get one of the animations I made.
So, are we done now?
Yeah, you can. We're kind of done, so you could leave if you want. I'm just gonna talk.
Okay, then. You have a good night, Nate, and hopefully I'll be seeing you next week.
Sure.
Okay, bye.
Good night.
Yeah, see ya.
Hey, you Melting Man, you gonna stick around for while I'm struggling to talk about tweens?
It might be educational to learn the basics of Flash, because I have no experience with that whatsoever.
Fair enough. Anyway, yeah, so the tween, the animation trick of the Flash. Basically, what you do is you draw something, and then you tell the program to move it somewhere, and it calculates it for you. So, for example, Johnny Cage I drew here, which is the animation where he gets ready for enough fighting stance and then gets kicked in the face, is all done with tweens for the most part. So basically, all I have to do is draw Johnny Cage one time. There's a little bit of other animation in his face, that his face expression changes a couple times. That's done frame by frame. It has nothing to do with tweens, but separate. So his face expression occasionally changes. But yeah, it's all... Every body part is a separate bit. And then I can tell Flash in which frame it needs to be in what position. And then the software kind of calculates how it moves. And usually it looks very stiff and dumb if you just kind of do it straight. So you have to do a couple trickeries to make it a little look better. I mean, for example, if I do it very easily here, like you have him in one position here, and then I tell him like a couple frames later you have to be in a different position.
Yeah, that is interesting because I noticed like in the layers section, they're just kind of labeled as just layers. So it kind of makes me wonder how is it that you keep track of like which part is where, like which layer is like the head or the arm or whatnot.
Oh, that's just for the animator. Normal animators, ones who are actually skilled and know what they're doing, give all the layers a different name. I don't do that because I'm lazy. I could give them names if I want to. There you go. But yeah, that's just for my convenience. But I'm not really looking at what the names of the layers are. Just grab the art in the stage itself, so it doesn't really matter to me. But some do like give them names or something. But I'm very terrible with organizing. I don't have time for that. I'm trying to make these animations as quickly as possible, so I'm only focused on the important things. Anyway, yeah, if you just kind of straight tell them what to do, it kind of looks very stiff. So what I do is usually have some slowdown as well. So before the character finish making his move, I create like a couple extra frames where there's a bit of a slowdown, so that makes it look a little more flashy. I also do a lot more with stretch and kind of make them bigger, kind of scratching or squashing it. It gives a nice extra move in it that the character. It's not realistic at all. It looks kind of stupid, but in movement it kind of gives it like a nice little whip to it, which I kind of like. It gives. It's not realistic at all, but just for purely for movement, for cartoonic energy, I think it gives a nice touch to it at all. Of course, you have to be a little subtle with that, but I think it makes it look a little more. That it almost looks like I know what I'm doing. Yeah, it's a lot about squashing and stretching and anticipation.
Yeah, and with these kind of cartoons, it's very fitting. Yep.
Of course, even though Johnny Cage looks relatively realistic, at least for as far as my cartoons go.
Yeah, that can be hard trying to like live action or realistic stuff and trying to transfer that into cartoons. Like, yeah, how would that look? That kind of thing.
Could do it. I could use photos and then animate them. I mean,
I
I
wrote a
absolutely love the opening scene in Rat Race, like a movie. They also did that where it looks like it's animated in Flash, but all done with the photos of the actors, and it looks amazing. I always wanted to do that, but I was never good at it before.
Have you ever tried doing rotoscoping?
Yeah, I did that a couple times in Kingdom Hearts, particularly with the Keyblade fight sequences. But the
Oh
problem,
yeah, the 358 days one. Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, then suddenly the character proportions are completely off whack. So I should have not done that so literally, because I always draw them very chibi with big hands, big arms. Well, and of course, realistic people don't have that, so it looked terrible. So I have to learn how to do rotoscoping, but then still apply it to the character proportions, how I draw them, which is not very easy.
And the most experience I've had with animation is just what was it? It was just some classes in filming editing. It was like, oh, trying to animate in Premiere, and it's like, yeah, I guess I did a little bit of that myself with some of my own April Fool's videos, as the one that I helped out with you with the fancy intro for the commentary video.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. But yeah, of course, nothing too fancy. It was preloader screen filling up. Still a very nice touch. I loved it.
Yeah, I figured it'd just be a fun way to try and recreate that old Flash loading bar, because like it feels like with how like the internet is like evolved and whatnot, like especially with internet speed, like if you have a good internet connection, you're not gonna see like the loading bar like there. It just starts out like, oh, there's a button, you click on it. So it just kind of felt nice, just recreating like how it was in the early 2000s. You had to wait for a while, you know, during the days of dial-up and all that shit.
Yeah, it could take a long while. Although some people made very impressive interactive preload loading bars. I was always lazy. I just made one and just keep copy pasting it. Although for a couple of them, I made an interactive fighting game.
Oh yes, good old Punch Bag the game.
Yep, to make it a little more interesting. I'm not sure how well that worked, because then the Flash has to load in that game before it can start loading. So it just made it worse. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I remember playing out with Punch Bag the game back when Flash used to work on DeviantArt, but yeah, it played out fine. You know, just picking out the characters and then unlocking spinning Jesus to the finishing move.
Oh yeah, the was barely much of a game. It's just wait for the right moment to press one button, because I couldn't actually program any games. But that was fun.
Yeah, because I know like sometimes you did a bit of some fancy stuff, like you added in like fun little character bios for like Sonic Movie Madness and other stuff.
Oh yeah, I did that. That was before my
Yeah.
dissected days when I had get my thoughts across very differently.
Yeah, I actually was tempted in trying to do that for like after the loading screen that I would add that. It's like, oh, a little recreation of the character bios of like just us and just writing down like random titles or whatnot. I think I wanted to try to do that, but I just ran out of time.
Yeah, that would be very tough making bios for every single character in the movie.
Yeah,
Good luck.
especially since that commentary was like my first intro to Zodi. So like, okay, I just know the character Zodi. I just don't know the guy in real life.
Very awkward, yeah. Oh, I could have talked about the character, I suppose. But yeah, that would have been a nice touch, but a lot of work. But what you already did was very impressive.
Alright, thanks. Yeah.
But yeah, so as for tweening, I did an exaggerated version here, but it's all all I want in this animation is for Johnny Cage to kind of just move backwards, lean backwards. But what I did is first have an anticipation moment where he kind of leans forward first, and then he goes backwards. And then halfway through the motion backwards, he squashes a little bit, so it creates like a nice wave motion. And there's a lot of slowdown, so before he goes into position, it slows a little bit. So that's kind of the style I'm doing. I'm not sure if it's very good or anything, but I kind of like how it looks. It creates a nice dynamic to it. It makes it not look as stiff. Like my old tweens were always very stiff. This is my way of kind of making it a little more loose.
Yeah. So like when it's playing in full motion, it just kind of has a more smoother frame rate. Unlike just doing it frame by frame, it might look odd. Yeah.
Of course, it helps too. But yeah, it's different style, different tricks. But I don't do tweens very much anymore. Only when the characters. I hate drawing the characters like robots. Of course, it works with robots because robots are already kind of stiff. But yeah, but those realistic Mortal Kombat characters, I also wasn't really in the mood of drawing them hundreds of times. So I cheated with tweens. But yeah, so I hope that was some kind of an answer.
Yeah, I guess one other thing I could think of is like when thinking up the animations, it kind of makes you wonder if like, is it like you do it all from scratch in Flash, or do you have like planned out like storyboards or layouts of like what the character's gonna do and whatnot?
I do it all in Flash itself. I did. I have done a couple times score storyboards, usually when I work with someone else or I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but most of the time the animation is already running in my head exactly how I want it. And besides, I don't really do fancy camera shots too often anyway, only when I do music videos. So no, I don't really do much in real life. I just draw it straight into Flash.
From scratch.
From scratch.
Quite the pro there, doing that for so long.
Yep. Of course, I do always have examples next to me. I'm trying not to trace them as much as I did before because I'm keep getting better and actually recreating looks.
Oh, I know how that's like with relying so much on tracing, and only now I've been feeling more comfortable with doing on my own. Like the title card I did for the commentary, that was all done from scratch and just using references of certain characters, and I'm definitely more prouder of that as opposed to the Roger Through the Ages comic I did. That one I kind of half traced, half from scratch, but the whole title card, that one's all from scratch. So, like, yeah, I like how that one turned out much better.
Absolutely. And it allows you for a lot more freedom, of course. But yeah, I'm guilty as well. I still occasionally trace when I'm lazy or kind of too intimidated in how to do something. Not my proudest moments, no. Oh well, we're still artists in learning, of course. We both still have a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you very much for your prequel, your preloading Sonic Movie Madness bit.
And you should probably tell them like what exactly happened with that particular video.
Might as well. Quickly, can you send an example of your preloader in the chat so I can show it on screen very quickly?
Jeez. Oh crap! Hold on, I have it on a drive somewhere.
I'm sorry.
But
I look for it too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. So
But yeah, we did one of the April requests was that we did a commentary track on Sonic Movie Madness, my ancient old cartoons I made back in 2004. So I got a couple guests on as well, Zodi and Ewan, because they were friends from me back then, so they had a little extra insight. They actually were there at the time, while Meltingman and Sala were newer friends. We did this commentary track, we had a lot of fun, but yeah, the audio balancing was terrible. And it's just one track. I didn't have it separated, so I couldn't really do much to fix it up, unfortunately.
And I did try and help out with trying to run it through Adobe Audition, but sadly that didn't help either.
No, there's nothing to do about it. Audio of the movie itself was too loud, which already gets me in copyright trouble. But on top of that, you could barely hear a commentary. I mean, most of you could hear them decently enough, although it was kind of annoying. But yeah, especially my voice is completely gone. It would be kind of funny April Fool's gag, because they specifically requested me to do a commentary, and then I end up being the only one you can't hear. But yeah, it's awkward. I did upload it and make it unlisted, because, it was finished anyway, I guess, and maybe someone gets some use out of it.
Yeah, because I think you posted the unlisted link on Twitter or something. I don't know if you posted in your announcement stuff for YouTube or whatever it's called nowadays.
Yeah, I also posted a link in a YouTube community tab.
Oh, okay.
So it's there for those who want to give it a try. But yeah, it's kind of ruined. But yeah, here's Melting Man's drawing. I love it. It's really as if he went back in time.
Yeah, it was fun recreating that style off with the brush tool and everything. And another interesting way was trying to create, what would Captain Theory and I look like? Because we didn't exist in those really old cartoons. So with Captain Theory, I just kind of tried to simplify the design. So, I showed a full version somewhere. But basically, the H is gone, the arms are much buffer, and not that much there's, the coat's not there. So I tried doing that. And then as for myself, I kind of just used your version of Prime Minister Blair as a reference. It's mostly because I just wanted to recreate that goofy smile, because I just loved it so much.
Yeah, he did a great job imitating it. I love it. So you should travel back in time and help me out make more cartoons back then.
Yeah, just as long as you're in the Netherlands, so there's no worry of trying to if I somehow ran into my past self and that would blow up the world or anything.
Very unlikely.
Yeah.
I never visit America until 2013, so as long as you stay away from that date, you should be fine. But yeah, I think we completed their video for the most part. I think I saw Ewan say something weird. I have to wait for his answer first. Otherwise, I think the stream is over. So, Melting Man, thank you for joining me. And of course, Luke and Sala already left.
You're welcome, yeah.
And see you guys all in 2 weeks when we have a more normal video again. I guess it's time to go back to Sonic X after a very long break.
Yeah, hopefully, or the Sonic movie, but it depends on how
of course,
long.
Sonic movie. We'll have to talk about that one first.
Yeah.
It's gotta be fun. But I can't talk about it yet. So yeah, see you all in 2 weeks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.